With the release of Black Ops 6, there are Black Ops 6 Twitch jobs that you can earn from watching my live stream for a couple of hours over at twitch.tv/themarkofahero. After watching this informative or entertaining Black Ops 6 video, I highly recommend you guys check out the Twitch streams for a lot of action and nukes and some free rewards. Hope you enjoy. Like, they don't see these just fucking shooting or drop shotting or anything. Like, come on, bro. I'm getting shot at. I just know how to use my movement and survive. We just be surviving out here. So, what's up, guys? It's here by Nino Orkwaji, and welcome to my first official video on Call of Duty Black Ops 6 multiplayer. As you can see, I'm entirely on the game, as well as with some other legends that are on my friends list because of the New Zealand trick. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys my best controller settings, best audio settings, best interface settings, HUD settings, anything that you need to know before getting into Black Ops 6 so you can perform to the highest of your ability and absolutely dominate the competition. I have a lot of experience absolutely just wrecking some opponents, and I got many nukes during the beta that you guys have probably seen from my previous videos. So you guys excited to see my absolutely best settings so you guys can be mastering the Omni movement within Black Ops 6? Make sure you guys drop a like a video, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications. I'm on the road to 250,000 subscribers for the Black Ops 6 year, and just know that I'll be one of the prime content creators for you to watch during this year. Really appreciate your presence, but without further ado, I know you guys don't want to waste too much time. Let's go ahead and head into the controller settings. So starting things off, before you do anything else, what I like to do is to swap L1 and R1 with L2 and R2. I like L1 and R1 being my jumping and shooting buttons. And when it comes to L2, it's actually my jump button. I'll explain that in a little bit, but L1 and R1 is better for shooting and aiming in because they're more responsive and they don't take as much time to, press the button or whatever. So moving on from that, edit button layout, I'm going to be doing L2 button jumper tactical. Now, this is the way I like to play. As you guys can see from the description of the controller, I jump with L2, I drop shot, slide with R3, and this just allows me to use my controller to the most of its ability. Yes, I do have a DualSense Edge here, as you guys can see, but I don't even use the paddles or anything because I just jump with L2, aim with L1, shoot with R1, use my grenades with R2, and I've been playing like this for like a decade, and it's always helped me with, the jetpack games, the regular boots on the ground games. And now that we have Omni movement, this allows me to master the Omni movement a lot more quickly. So I'm telling you right now, if you learn how to play like this, you've been making some masterful plays and absolutely outplaying your opponents, because movement's a huge part of this game. And in this way, you can just use a regular PS4, PS5, Xbox controller without special paddles or anything, and still play kind of like if you had that sort of controller. It's really nice. I know some people will love stick and move and stuff, but I like Bumper Jumper Tactical, and I highly, highly recommend this. When it comes to our stick sensitivities, we got 8 and 8 for a horizontal and a vertical. This allows me to have a good amount of accuracy and not lose my target. If you're too low, if you're on the 1 spectrum, this allows you to maybe have the best accuracy, but it's hard to turn on people. And then the opposite is true if you're on 20-20, where you have the ability to turn on people very easily, but you might not have the best accuracy, especially at far ranges. So just keep it in the middle, in my opinion, is the way to go. But of course, everything here is personal preference. You might like something higher or something lower. Everything else here is kind of up to you. If you don't want all these complicated controls, you can put on simplified controls preset, lower motor strain preset, for whatever case. But for me, I can take full advantage of my fingers and my button layout and stuff, so I'm not gonna put those on. Controller vibration, I just have it off. But of course, you can put it on and, adjust the intensity however you want. It's just kind of a personal preference. Dead zone inputs, pretty much make it so that the left stick and the right stick minimum horizontal and vertical axes are at 0%. Because if they're at 0%, then you don't have any stick drift, which is really nice. So for me, in order to have that, I had 6 on left stick min and 6 on right stick min, allowing me to not have any sort of stick drift. And then up to you on how you want to have your button dead zones. Because I do use my L2 a lot, I want to make sure I have at least some leeway with that, because I don't want to be spamming that and accidentally, using it or whatever. Same with my R2. I might have that a little bit higher. But let's go over to the aiming settings now. Now, when it comes to sensitivity multiplier, we got everything at 1 here. And then look conversion on foot standard. Aiming advanced settings, this is more important stuff. Look conversion is going to be on standard. ADS sensitivity transition timing can be either instant or gradual. I prefer instant. Third person ADS correction type is going to be assist. This is the best way to go when it comes to aim assist. Aim response curve type dynamics, always been the best one, has more stickier, you know, I guess aiming than standard and linear, and tests and videos have been done on this topic repeatedly for the past 5 years. Dynamic is just what works. A lot of the pros use it. Don't mess with the curve slope scale, because then you might mess with that stickiness. But once again, it's up to you. Whatever feels best for you, it's going to be the best for you. Custom sensitivity per zoom is going to be on, and we got 0.9 for the low zoom and 2x to 3x zoom. This allows me to aim a lot more accurately and actually aim at my opponents with ease. And then for the higher zoom optics, I have it at 1.20 because they're a little bit sluggish, they're a little bit annoying to deal with, so I have it a little bit more higher, even though I don't really find myself using those types of zooms. It's just nice to have. Target aim assist is going to be on. Us controller players, we need our aim assist to make these keyboard and mouse players mad, and I don't mess with motion sensors, so not really going to talk about that. Now here's where the tactical sprint and all that sprint stuff is. If you enjoyed your tactical sprint stuff, I didn't use that shit, you know, automatic tactical sprint, that's what I meant to say. Oh no, you press on here, tactical sprint assist, and then you adjust your settings. I just recommend having that off because, personally, I don't need that sprint assist. It just allows me to be in more control of my character, and allows me to really master the Omni movement so I can be more, reactionary with my movement, if that makes any sense. And then it's the same thing with mantle assist. You don't really need it in my opinion, you can just have it off, but I will admit, messing with this mantle assist angle and keeping it on tight is going to help you a ton, not make accidental mantles happen. So that's the way to kind of customize that in my opinion. Crouch assist, it's tactical sprint only. You can kind of mess around with that. I don't really have much knowledge on that. Corner slicing, so this is when the character does the little side to side thing. If you don't like that, you can turn it off. I don't personally find it annoying, so I'm going to keep it on. But if for some reason I find it annoying, then I'll turn it off. But this is a very useful setting in case for people that don't like the little automatic, I guess, lean that the game gives you. Slide slash dive behavior, tap the slides, that's the best way to go for me. But if you can master hybrid, especially with the Omni movement in this game, I do recommend Omni movement. It's just a little bit harder for me to kind of do that. And if you press square, there's a slide slash dive activation delay. You can actually lower the delay and make your slides more responsive so that you can move around the map a lot more rapidly. And you can also dive around the map a lot more rapidly. So I highly recommend this so that you can really just be cracked out with the movement. You have no delays at all, or at least the shortest amount of delay possible, which is a really nice setting for them to add. Auto door peek, very similar to corner slice, except for doors. I think having this off makes a lot more sense because sometimes you don't want to peek at a door every freaking time. But of course, you can also keep it on if you want to. Going on forward, we got automatic airborne mantle, and I just have that on. Sprint restore on, slide maintain sprint on. All this is pretty much default settings. Movement advanced settings, auto move forward off, just kind of similar to the sprint assisting. I like being in full control of my character, so I don't have that on. And everything else here is technically your own personal preference. And then that's it on movement settings. Now going on over to combat settings, a lot of this is pretty much just personal preference. Manual fire behavior, press or hold, depending on you. Combat advanced settings. What's important here? Interact slash reload behavior. So if you're playing multiplayer, which we all are, I would recommend tap to reload. Just keeps it the easiest possible. But whenever Warzone comes in, make sure you put on that prioritize interact. Allows you to loot faster. But right now, that conversation doesn't matter. We're all just playing Black Ops 6 multiplayer because Warzone isn't integrated yet. But for anybody that might be watching the settings video for the future, obviously. And everything else here is kind of personal preference. And they even have like body shield slash finishing move behavior. So you can do both. It depends on like if you hold circle or press circle twice or whatever. Or you could just ignore that completely and just have one of them. You know, you want to troll people and always body shield, then you could do that. Or if you want to like just finish them off, you could do that too. So up to you. Obviously personal preference. Overlay advanced settings over here is all personal preference. And now we're gonna move on to graphics settings. And keep in mind, I'm only on my PlayStation right now because I don't have access to my PC, sadly. So hopefully all my PC players, you know, you'll see some graphics settings more in depth in the future. But starting off on display here, we got eco mode preset off, just allows me to have full capability of my PlayStation here. Quality is gonna be off for world motion blur and weapon motion blur because, as you can see, all that blurriness is gonna make you miss opponents. So if you're like turning a corner or whatever and you don't see that opponent, you're gonna be screwing yourself over. So just don't have motion blur on. It's just not smart at all. Depth of field is going to be off. It makes the background kind of blurry, so just don't have it on. Fidelity FX cast on, and we got that strength at 90, so you have a little bit more better color to your game or whatever. On-demand texture streaming is going to be minimal, just because it allows you to not use as much internet. And if you care about your graphics, you put on optimized and like max it out or whatever, but minimal is just the best way to go in my opinion if you have the worst connection possible. So for our FOV, we're gonna go ahead and max it out. We're able to see as much of the game as possible, and thus we can locate and track our opponents. Now when it comes to ADS field of view, you can either do independent or affected. Most YouTubers slash content creators, they go for the affected, which keeps your FOV at 120 when you're ADSing. Which is nice because you do see a lot of the screen, but when you're ADSing, you're technically trying to focus in on something, and that's why I like independent. When you rock independent and you ADS, your FOV goes to 80, which allows you to see less, but you're probably thinking, Hero, why do you want to see less? When you see less, a lot more of the things that you're seeing are zoomed in, and thus, if you're trying to get somebody at far range specifically, you're able to locate them, track them a lot more easily on independent. So it just makes you more ready for every situation. And that's why I like independent, but if you like affected, stick with affected. I'm more of that independent gang out here. Weapon field of view is going to be wide, so the weapon looks as small as possible and it doesn't take up as much of your screen as possible. Third person field of view, 90, kind of similar to first person FOV. Vehicle field of view is going to be wide for smaller vehicle whenever you're driving in whatever case. First person and third person camera movement's got to be at least 50%. If you have it at 100, you're going to get a lot more recoil shakiness or whatever. Third person ADS transition time, up to you on that, and then inverted flashbang is also personal preference. And now that we got those out of the way, let's go ahead and go into audio settings now. Now when it comes to our audio settings here, we got the master game volume maxed out. You want to be able to sound harm your opponents as much as possible. When it comes to gameplay music volume, as much as the music is really good in this game, you should try to lower that as much as possible, just so you can hear footsteps and everything else that's more important. Dialogue volume, I like that in the middle because sometimes the announcers be calling the important stuff out, or your characters, or teammates' characters, or even enemy characters. And that's pretty important, so having at 50, moderate volume is pretty important. And then effects volume should be maxed out because that allows you to hear windows breaking, footsteps, reloads, anything that's super important in terms of like audio cues is gonna help you a ton. Now, when it comes to audio mix, Sucker Punch is going to be your best bet here. As you can see from all these settings, it says that it gives you the tightest dynamic range, so I highly recommend this one over everything else. And then everything else here is kind of, personal preference. You kind of mess around with everything here. They got like frequency intensities that you can mess around with here. They really went in with the audio. Not really going to go too in-depth with that, but if you do want me to, make sure you guys drop a like in this video and leave a comment if you guys want me to kind of go into these special audio settings a little bit more in-depth. Reduce tinnitus sounds, I just have that off. And then hit marker presets, up to you. And then when it comes to voice chat, obviously that's kind of all personal preference there. So now, to end things off, we got interface settings, the HUD, and a lot more stuff to talk about here. Okay, now finally ending off with our interface settings, we got visual support preset, which is going to be off. All this is pretty much personal preference here. When it comes to telemetry, I do recommend having the server latency and packet loss on, just so you can kind of see if the server that you're in is kind of laggy or not. And then from here, we got subtitles to talk about, or readability. And if I wasn't a content creator, I would actually have subtitles on, at least for multiplayer. Subtitles on campaign are like nice, but for multiplayer, it's nice to have subtitles because sometimes the audio cues be a little bit delayed at times, and being able to read something, because I'm more of a visual learner, I'm able to read something and process it a lot faster than hearing something and potentially having it be delayed. And usually they're not delayed when it comes to the readability of this game. So it's up to you if you want subtitles or not. I just don't like it because it looks ugly for videos, but I do recommend it. So up to you at that point. And then gameplay HUD. From here, we got minimap shape. Make sure it's on square, please, because having a square minimap is a lot better and gives you more surface area than a circle minimap. And I almost forgot the HUD presets. This is definitely something you want to click on. So you got a bunch of selections here when it comes to the type of HUD that you want to have. And out of all of these, I highly recommend magnified, because if you see the standard HUD and then you compare it to the magnified HUD, you can see a lot more of your minimap. Your minimap's a lot more bigger. Everything is just bigger, basically. And, bigger things are better, I guess. So being able to see those red dots a lot more easily is going to allow you to be more responsive in your gameplay, and I do recommend this a lot. And then you could also change the HUD and the minimap even more in-depthly in the settings here. The HUD has its own settings, which is kind of crazy. So I have the minimap shape once again on square, not round. Fucking hell, what am I saying? Compass type is going to be minimap here. Minimap rotation on. You can have the radar backing on or off. I'll have it on for me personally. And then from here, scale, I think it's easier to kind of compare this in game. I haven't really messed with this, but I think it might make things bigger or smaller. So I'm just going to keep everything on default. And then you could also change the visibility of certain things if you want to. So you can really customize the HUD to your best extent, which I really, really like. I don't know, that's just like really cool to me. And then of course you got the colors that you can kind of mess with here. So they really went off with the HUD customizations here. If you want me to do a video on the HUD specifically, let me know in the comments and by liking the video. And then everything else here we kind of already talked about. Crosshair, I like having it on static, and then you show more, and I have the crosshair dot on, center dot large, just so I can have the largest dot possible. And everything else here is kind of like your personal preference. And then from here, I think, yeah, visibility once again just kind of mentioned here. So there you guys go. Those are my settings for the interface, audio, graphics, and controller here on my PlayStation. So you guys end up using these settings and find success, or you change up the settings for yourself and you end up playing a lot better, make sure you guys drop a like and subscribe. I'm going to have a lot of content here in this channel. Make sure you guys follow me over on my Twitch at twitch.tv/markofahero, because we'll be streaming a ton, getting to Master Prestige. And I'm telling you, you are not going to regret the videos that you're going to watch on this channel. Black Ops 6 is here, and I'm ready to fucking dominate. I love you all, and keep being awesome.